Hello everyone. Let's focus on the skills that actually make difference early in consulting. I'd love to hear your perspective on this, Professor. So, if someone is starting a career in consulting, what skills should they prioritize first, and what's the best way to build them over the time?
Learn to package your knowledge and transfer it. Number one, the soft skills, as like which are the hard skills. Don't ever, if any professor tells you, oh, that's the soft stuff, they're clueless, totally clueless. That means they've never worked in the real world. The soft skills are the skills that get you ahead. You're expected to be technically excellent, right? You're expected. But it's the soft skills, the sensitivity to other people, working hard to inspire other people. I think I said to you earlier, find what your passion is. You must love it. You have to love your work that you do in consulting. You have to love every assignment you get. You have to love the clients. You have to love being in these places. There's no way that you can go in and there and inspire others if you're not inspired yourself. You see. So you have to be able to get up in the morning, get out of bed and get to sleep and get proper sleep and get up and get at it and get it and get that deep like that energy. If you only know you have it when you lose it. I'm not saying I've lost it because I have it now for teaching, but I would find it hard to get it back for the corporate world. I mean, I could do seminars maybe, but that fire in the belly that I had in my 30s or 40s or early 50s, you know, it's not the same as you get older because but then it becomes into something else. It's like make your work your hobby. You know, you have like the content knowledge, like I still love. I'm at the stage now where packaging books about all my work and about my courses and all turns me on enormously. But if I had to go into companies, fly into here and stand in hotels and all that. Oh, I think that's gone. I'm pretty sure it's gone. I mean, I can do the odd trip. I just was in Africa a couple of years ago in Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire doing it, but I framed it differently. I wasn't doing it for money. I was doing it because somewhat not for charity. Well, somewhat for charity, but it required me to sleep in hotels to get up. But I enjoyed it because it was for a higher purpose. It wasn't just for corporate. It wasn't for money. So you have to have deep passion. And if you don't have it, you're not going to be able to inspire or you're not going to have the energy. You have to have enormous energies to walk in there in front of 30 people in a workshop, strategic planning workshop, and facilitate them through the whole day and for 3 or 4 or 5 days. You've got to have an inner drive. And like I say, you don't know you have it until you lose it. And you don't realize just what it really takes. It's a powerful thing. And when I was a young fellow in my 20s and I would see these gurus, facilitators and presenters, and I said, this is what I want. I knew that I really admired such people. I never really admired people who were CEOs or presidents who exhibited power. That didn't turn me on. What turned me on was the people facilitating change. Like we're dynamic and up at the front, making things happen. So I wasn't interested in order givers. I'm not a good order taker. That's why I never joined the military. I would not have been a person that would have taken orders too easily. In fact, it would have only lasted a little while before I would have rebelled. So I knew not to do that. But working with military people, which I've done a lot of, I had no problem. But to be in it, this command and control, that would not have been. So you also have to know yourself. You have to know what you're capable, what you can work within and what not. I also had to have great freedom to be my own person. I was an employee and I was a very stable employee and enjoyed it, but I knew I was going to be an entrepreneur eventually. I knew that would happen. So while I was doing the employee, I became an exemplary employee at KPMG. That was and at ABB and in Honeywell and so on. This is what you do, and what's the next step. So you've got to know yourself, number one, and what you've got to know what you're good at. Find what your passion is, find what you're good at, find what you're not good at. Your family members will tell you, your other peers, and hopefully also have a few. failures in your early 20s to mid 20s. There's nothing wrong with failing and getting fired or going into a company and saying, I've made a mistake. This is a big mistake. I did that once from de Havilland to an IT firm. I mean, I was there, it lasted 8 weeks. It was a big, and I went from making X amount of money to two-thirds of it. But I did it because I wanted to learn about computers, but it was a big mistake. And after 8 weeks, I mean, it was a complete misfit. They were worried it would be a misfit, and they were right. I said, no, I'll do it. It was a big error. So I learned from that. This was way, and you want to make these mistakes when you're young because you can bounce back, but you don't want to make them when you're in your 50s or 40s, and you've only got, a certain amount of years left. You can still make mistakes, obviously, but you don't want to make big mistakes. But if you want at least by the age of 30, 35, but usually about 28, so right now, find out what turns you on. Well, I mean, I went through various stages in my 20s of composites to the CAD CAM to ERP to broader enterprise systems to total business process management. So my mind kept getting opened up like this. I then did a master's degree in history and philosophy of science and technology at U of T. And that was about 15 years ago. Yeah. Well, more, nearly 18, but 20 nearly. It's hard to believe. But this was my engineering apprenticeship. This was my engineering degree. This was the professional engineering. This was managing at ABB. This was marketing. This was consulting, management and then entrepreneur. But the history and philosophy education in mind was 360 degrees. The awareness went from here to here to here, and it was incredible. So, and I knew the reason I did that was because I had peaked in my consulting career. And I knew that I was just repeating, 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 repeating. And I needed a change, and I didn't know what it would be. I didn't know what it was, and nobody could tell me because I'd never met anybody tread my path. Most who became entrepreneurial management consultants with their own business, that's what they did till their 60s or 70s. That's it. But I said, no, this is boring. I'm wrecked. I'm dying inside. So I went and did this degree and it wasn't the degree itself that helped me. It was the process, the learning process taught me how to teach. And that's why I got into teaching. So when I did the master's in history and philosophy in a completely different field, it changed all my thinking about what I thought I knew about the world. But more than anything, it taught me to teach. Those professors who were teaching me or facilitating, because they don't teach, they facilitate the learning process at the U of T and these humanities graduate degrees. And I learned the teaching process, and then I applied it in my own world. And I've been teaching for 16 years, 6 graduate courses in the Faculty of Engineering, and my lived subjects in management. So God was good to me, but seek and ye shall find. I was dying inside. I was dying. I was depressed. I couldn't figure out what to do. And this light, one Christmas, I wasn't feeling well, and I went on the website at 3 in the morning, and it might have been Christmas Eve, and everybody had gone to bed. And I saw this University of Toronto website, or not University, Imperial College and Cambridge University, History and Philosophy of Science and Technology, History, Philosophy, Engineering. I saw all this. And then I said, I wonder, is this in Toronto? And there's this big building came up, which is at Victoria College on the campus of the U of T at Charles Street. Wow, I just couldn't believe it. And I read about the professors' lives and I wrote to them all. They were all a good lot older than me at the time. One of them has since passed away. He was like a mentor. So I went and visited them in the January and they were all for it. They said, before you enroll in the degree, just take a course here, audit it, and see how you feel. And see what, because I didn't have those critical thinking skills. So I went and did all this and it all worked out. But the point I'm making is I'd lost the passion for my mainstream consulting, and I'd taken its course. It had reached the end of its life cycle, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And suddenly, this course, I took this engineering, this degree in history and philosophy. Plus, I was volunteering at the Institution of Mechanical Engineers in London. I was flying back and forth from Toronto to London, basically 7 times a year, to be on the trustee board, vice president and trustee board of the IMechE, which is a very world-renowned old engineering institution and beside the Houses of Parliament. So that exposed me to the boardroom. How does boardrooms work? And I was the youngest in the around the table. Well, close to the youngest, about 12 people, and I would be one of the two younger ones. So that exposed me to that world as well, which was all new, and I loved it. Now, that flying over there wasn't so easy, but I did it. This is before Zoom, but you could do it all through Zoom now. But the thing is, that opened this door to teaching, and then I got this phone call out of the blue from Professor Chris Damarin, who's the dean of the Aerospace Institute at U of T. And he was the vice dean of graduate studies at the time. He says, "Would you like to teach a course on what?" I said, "Management of innovation." Well, I said, "I don't. What does that mean?" He said, "It's the work that you do." Oh, I said, "We call that business transformation." Well, anyway, it was a label, but I tried it, and it just was so well received. It's 16 years later, and well, 8 courses, but 6 of them I still teach. So that is the story of these different transitions you go through, and it's the story of finding passion in what you do, and know when you're tired at night, when you're getting find it hard to get out of bed, when there's something wrong. Don't think it's depression and you should run for pills. Like, find out what the root cause is, and find out what it was made you happy when you were doing each stage of your career, and then try to reignite that. I'm not saying it's easy, and I'll use my finger here. I'm not saying it's easy. It's not. But if you put it out there to the universe, it will come back to you and help you. And once you get that passionate, the lights turned on. It's magic. It's amazing. I was never turned on by money. And that's not true. I love the check every month coming in from Lockheed or Bombardier. Oh, it was magic. I loved it. There's nothing as beautiful. But that wasn't my prime motivation. My prime motivation, my driver was the work I was doing with those companies. I loved it. I'd show up and go in, I'd be like so energized, and they knew, and infectious, infecting everybody in a positive way. You must have that. You must find out what that passion is. I still have it for operations management for product, but not doing it, but teaching others to do it. You see, I love teaching others to do it. What better way to finish your life career in helping others? So I've been very lucky. Anyway, I could go ahead.
Thank you all for listening and stay tuned for the final segment.